Another question that people have as they approach death is, what kind of body will we have in heaven? If your wife or husband have already passed on, what are they experiencing? Dr. Lutzer tells us.
What kind of a body do the saints who are in heaven today, what kind of a body do they have? We know that the great emphasis in the New Testament is on the resurrection. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, we shall be raised, we shall be raised. Paul anticipates that, and it is so important to our theology. Well, if people in heaven today do not yet have a body, how do they communicate? Well, there are two different views that have been given about this. First of all, there are those who believe that we have an intermediate body. That is, that God creates a body that the saints in heaven can use until they get their permanent resurrected one. Now, that's a plausible theory, but I have to wonder what happens to that body at the day of resurrection. Is it just thrown away, annihilated, discarded? You know, there might be another explanation that I want you to think about. Possibly, our souls, after we die, take on the characteristics of a body. Now, that's more plausible than it seems. Listen to this text from the book of Revelation. And when he broke the fifth seal, I saw underneath the altar the souls of those who have been slain. Notice, the souls of those who had been slain, because of the word of God and because of the testimony which they had maintained. And they cried out with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, wilt thou refrain from judging and avenging our blood on those who dwell upon the earth? Now, that's what the text says. The souls were beneath the altar, and look at what they were doing. They were crying out loud. They were speaking. They were clothed with white garments. So I can't understand that mystery, but maybe what God does is He enables the souls of those who go to heaven to have those characteristics which they need to communicate. There needs to be communication with words and what have you. There needs to be some visual sight of these individuals so that they recognize one another and are in the presence of Christ. And just possibly it is that the soul is able to do that. But here's the bottom line. Let's not miss that which is most important. When you die as a Christian, you are immediately in the presence of Christ. You are immediately conscious. There is no break of consciousness. And as a result of that, you know that all of the faculties that you had here on earth, all of your abilities, carry over to the other side. Of that we can be certain. You know, D.L. Moody, before he died, he said, Soon you shall read in the newspapers that D.L. Moody has died. He said, Do not believe it, for in that moment I shall be more alive than I have ever been. I like what Chet Bitterman said. Remember, you may have heard the story of how his son was martyred as a missionary. Chet said, We have 8 living children. 7 are on earth, and 1 is in heaven. It is really true that the moment you die, you are more alive than you have ever been.